Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today, we are covering Sea Fever. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea.
So we are doing a repeat, and we are drinking Republic of Tea's High Calf Ginger Mint Green Tea. It's got green tea, ginger, spearmint, peppermint, and green tea extract. This one is very, very tasty. The ginger isn't as harsh as a lot of other ginger teas.
Yeah,
it's
I feel
a bit
like
more
the
mellow.
Counterbalances it.
Yes, it definitely mellows it out a little bit.
Yep. And thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love. And for our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So, for the summary, a marine biology student who joins a fishing trawler crew off the west coast of Ireland. When the crew becomes stranded at sea, they must confront a deadly parasite infecting their water supply. So for entertainment, I actually watched this movie prior to us deciding to review it, and it's like I watched it and I'm like, oh, I feel like Jess might enjoy this movie.
I did.
And so I personally rate it a 7.75. Like, you know, it's almost like The Thing, but on a boat. But like the way that they do it though, they approach it. I feel like having a marine biology student like really helps with them approaching it a lot more like logically. Mm-hmm. I also like the fact that they bring a lot of like superstition to the movie where, you know, they're already a little bit wary of her because apparently it's a superstition in Ireland that's like, oh, if a girl with red hair is on a boat, then that's
something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, and something bad does happen.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny where it's like, you know, it's like, you know, obviously she's like brushing that off, but then something actually does bad happen. So, but it's like, you know, obviously it's a coincidence. But I really like it's almost a study of how different people approach the situation. It's almost kind of like what we were saying with Something in the Water, but it's these people who most of them don't really know each other that well. They've worked together at most. Of the marine biology student, she's like completely new to them. But like having her approach it logically and then them also like having some greed mixed in, like, because he had brought them out to, I forgot what the zone is called, but it's a zone that you're not supposed to be in. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what got them in trouble. And then once the parasite was on the boat... Exclusion zone, thank you.
Yeah.
And once the parasite is on the boat and is starting to... Spread, just, you know, seeing how people, like, handle that situation. And I mean, this parasite was pretty terrifying.
Oh yeah.
It just like your eyeballs explode and you like get
it's bad news.
Yeah, it was a bad parasite.
That's a problem.
Yeah. But I also like, you know, the logic of, you know, the marine biology student is like, oh, we need to isolate ourselves to make sure that
we need to quarantine.
To make sure that we're not spreading. Well, the one lady is like, no, I don't want to do that.
Well, a hospital will be able to help us. Okay, but it also spread faster in the hospital. And if it's something that people have never seen before, that's a big problem.
Yeah. And I also like how they're deducing like how to take care of the problem. Like they're going through their water supply. They're trying like different methods to try and get rid of the parasite. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's an intriguing movie for me, and they make the creature that kind of like started the whole parasite thing like interesting. And it's just I just get sucked into the movie. It's like I really enjoy the characters. They're believable. They're varied. I think that they were creative in the creature and the parasite themselves, and the situation seemed reasonable. It didn't really seem forced. I feel like it's a really well done movie.
As far as entertainment, I'd give it a solid 7 with the potential for going up in rating since I only watched it the one time. It's been a little busy.
That's fine.
But it was really interesting to see, and we don't see this kind of thing often. Usually when we get aquatic movies, it's the boat's going down, or it's a shark. It's almost always a shark, or multiple sharks, or it's some kind of like alligator or crocodile, that kind of thing. So we don't normally see any like pathogen type movies as far as aquatic movies go.
Yeah.
And that was very different and refreshing, if a little oogie.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
Well,
with some of the scenes, like seeing them swimming in the eyeball. Oh,
yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Ew, don't
got
like
some body
that.
horror there. Yeah.
Don't like that. That is problem. And they are extremely aggressive, and it progresses very, very quickly. So I have a few issues with it, realism-wise, as far as the scenario itself. But the design for the creature was very interesting. The premise for the creature was interesting. The aggressiveness with how it worked was definitely a problem. And it was very tension heavy in the movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily like terrifying. It didn't.
It's like, who's next? Because
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt this way, but at least for me, like there were some characters that you're like, okay, they're probably not going to make it. But for the most part, it's like, I don't know who could live and who could die.
Yeah.
Like it could be anyone.
Oh yeah, no one was immune. Or it seemed like no one was immune.
It wasn't as predictable as some other movies where you know exactly who's going to die. Like this one, you were a lot more in the air on like, well, you know, this character is being logical and reasonable, so I don't know if they're going to live or die. And
you kind of hope that they live.
Yeah, the ending was a bit heart-wrenching.
A little bit, but it made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like I needed almost an epilogue. Because I'm sitting here like, but the guy could still technically be infected. So is he just going to spread it to the boat that's coming to save them, like the Coast Guard boat, and it's going to be a problem all over again? Or is he actually okay? Like, I needed an epilogue.
Well, I also like how I feel like they did take some inspiration from the thing, because it's like, you know, they go to the boat where those people had already been infected, and you're seeing what happened to them, and you're then watching it being replicated with them, and so you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. And there were moments, it didn't happen with all of them, but there were moments, especially with the old lady, that it almost felt like they were influencing her actions. Because the way she like grabbed the marine biologist chick, and kind of held her there for a second, it almost felt like she was trying to find a way to pass it to her. So it makes me wonder how many of their decisions were also influenced by the parasite.
Or, I mean, I guess they don't really address this in the movie, but I could also picture, like, with them being so superstitious, it'd be like, it's your fault, so I feel like you should be infected.
It could have been entirely that
But they don't
situation,
really,
But they leave that open to vague interpretation.
Yeah.
So you never really get that kind of answer. I am glad that it seems like the guy with the family was gonna live. Again, we don't know if he was actually infected or not because he was injured by the thing in the water. Which is again why I said we need an epilogue. Inquiring minds want to know. But it was interesting to see the progression and see their steps in trying to figure out how it worked and how to get rid of it and preserve as much life on the boat as possible. So.
Yeah.
And the tension didn't feel forced. Like, there was a very real problem.
Yeah. Like, the setup for it is great.
It was
and then
very good.
and then the pacing felt pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, the overall, like, a really well-rounded movie, I feel like.
For sure.
Realism is...
That's where I have a problem. Which is where I usually have a problem, to be fair. But that's where I have a problem.
So, I think realism I did a little bit higher because, this movie really does touch on the balance of, obviously it's a creature that doesn't actually exist. It's like a fantastical creature against actual like science and logic and reason. I feel like it strikes a pretty good balance between the two. So I personally give it a 4. But after hearing your commentary, maybe it will change my mind. But, I feel like, the superstition of her getting on the boat, I feel like a lot of people, especially like fishermen and people that are out on sea a lot, still have...
A whole bunch of them are all superstitious.
Yeah, have still a very superstitious mind.
So many superstitious.
The setup of her needing to get on the boat and her reluctance and stuff, like all of that seemed pretty on par. Like all of the different characters and their reactions to her. But then also like once they find the creature, I like her like breaking down, like trying to figure out, it's like, oh, well, it seems like it might be along this line, but it really isn't exactly like that. And, her kind of like breaking it down, and then the different ways that it's like the ways that they figure out how to try and attack the parasites or kill them off seem like a reasonable, like, risk. And they, each time they up the stakes a little bit more on like, okay, this didn't work, so let's try something a little bit more drastic.
Yeah, they tried, I feel like it was 3, I can't remember the third way they tried, but I think they tried at least 3 different ways of killing off the parasites.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, if it wasn't, like, if they used, like, an actual creature and just swap that for, instead of the fantastical one, like, it would feel like a really, like, realistic movie.
Yeah.
The parts that are less realistic, like, maybe, like, the aggressiveness of the parasites and how... Like, with each person, it seemed to vary a little bit differently on, like, how they interacted with the person. It's like, why does this person's eyes explode while this guy just gets, like, marks and things like that? But, that, I'm okay with how they did it, because it's, like, it helped the pacing and the tension of it. I feel like if they had made it a slower burn, it would have been a little bit too slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got.
I can't really give it higher than a 2. I can't, even making some allowances, like, and the main issue I have with it is how aggressive it is and how quickly they grow and develop, because it was 4 days max for everything to happen once the creature got a hold of the boat. They said it takes upwards of 48 hours. Like 36 to 48 hours to know for sure if you're infected or not. Like, you're usually, if you are infected, you're dead by the 48-hour mark. So, but also once they came out of the people, like the ones that were in the water tank, for example, the water filtration system, those evolved sort of, like they changed from a larval state to the next stage within that span of time.
Mm-hmm.
And they got bigger, and they ate through the hull of the ship.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, what creature, even if it did develop like that, why does it have the ability to eat through the hull of the ship?
Yeah, and then even like the multiple filters, and
yes,
it's like that was metal.
The metal mesh filters.
Like, how strong are their little like mandibles or whatever?
That's unnecessary. That's a little op, honestly. Seriously overpowered for no reason. I do like how she said it seems to, the main big creature seems to almost be made up of a bunch of creatures, almost like anemone or coral.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. But the only thing is, like, then it would have had to have been there for a good while. Or I guess like a jellyfish, it could have floated a little bit. I guess. But then why hasn't anyone seen it? Like, with how aggressive it is and how quickly it matures, how has this not been a bigger problem before now?
Yeah.
That part just doesn't quite make sense. Especially with how big that one was. If this thing is eating on whales, it should be a much bigger problem. Much bigger problem than it is. So, I'm not buying it. Now, if it ended up being an alien entity that just arrived, okay, maybe. And once it's here, okay, the progression of how everything worked and what they tried made sense. That part made sense. So they tried the disinfectant. Obviously, that wasn't working. She let them know right off the bat, don't waste your time. It's not working in the Petri dish. Like, it's a bigger problem than we thought. They tried something else, I feel like, right after that, and it still wasn't quite working. Not to the extent they needed it to work. So then they electrified the hull of the ship, which did end up working for the most part. It got rid of the things on the ship itself. The problem was the people that were already infected. That then, if their eyeballs went explodey, or they, like, it would come out of their bodies too. It just usually came out of the eyes first. Which, ew.
I know.
Ew. Unpleasant, but well done. But then, they would then infect that area of the ship again, and they could move and apparently eat through metal to then potentially infect someone else. So you would have had to have electrified the ship multiple times.
Yeah.
Or electrocute the body. Which they never tried. Wouldn't have been without risk, but I'm just saying they didn't try it. So they did try heating up the tank, but then it ate through the hole at the bottom of the tank and got out that way, so it was a thing. I agree that with the main character's decision of we need to try to quarantine before getting off. We need to check each other, and then we need to quarantine. And it made sense how other people would react of, no, we need to find help. What if there's something at the hospital they can do, some kind of anti-parasitic medicine or something, some kind of treatment for it, they can maybe get rid of it. But I feel like with how aggressive these parasites were and how quickly they developed, there wouldn't have been enough time.
Yeah.
And especially when this creature hasn't apparently been seen ever. Again, not buying it, but ever. They don't know how to handle it.
For them to survive.
Yeah.
To tell the tale.
Exactly. Well, they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
A hospital's not going to know what to do. They're going to have to call in the CDC, and by the time the CDC gets there, they're all going to be dead. And they'll probably have infected a whole bunch of other people. It spreads through water. It's a problem. The second guy that got infected because they were in the water system and he was taking a shower.
Yeah.
That's why he had the marks on his body, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
So he didn't ingest it. He got drenched with them and they were eating through his skin, which again, ew.
Yeah. They definitely make it to where you do not want to get these parasites.
It's a problem.
It's a big problem.
I don't like it. But again, very well done. It's just it's mainly the scenario itself. It's the scenario itself that doesn't make that much sense to me. But the imagery for the creature itself is really well done and very beautiful, very interesting. The steps that they take, for the most part, make sense. The reactions make sense. It's just how it eats through the ship and the metal mesh filters for the water and the hull.
Well, especially if its primary prey item is a whale.
It's a whale. Why do you need that?
To be able to go through metal.
Why are you that overpowered?
Or wood or whatever, yeah. It just needs to go through
You just gotta go through skin and blubber.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that ridiculously overpowered. That's what I got.
But overall, I feel like if you like The Thing or that type of premise, this is probably a movie that you'll get something out of.
Or Contagion type movies.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely think it's worth a watch. And yeah. But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord server. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
If you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Republic of Tea available. It does not affect the price of the tea. It just allows us to continue to do what we love. You can find all of those sites mentioned linked below. But until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye.
Bye.